Hello, my knitting friends and buddies. My name is Nadia and I'm the face behind the Lemony channel where we discuss all things knitting. On the 14th of June, we celebrated the Worldwide Knit in Public Day, when all of the crafters of the world were motivated to go outside and meet other crafters and have fun all together. Many places like knitting cafes or yarn shops had their own events, and everybody was having fun together and spending cozy time knitting or doing other crafts. But what if I told you that you can actually knit outside on any given day? And it will be just as fun. Crazy, I know! But as an avid outside knitter, I would like to invite you to join me in this world of taking projects everywhere I go. There are many things that motivate people to knit in public. First of all, socialization. It's a great opportunity, not only with fellow knitters in the outside world, but also with people who will get interested by what you're doing, what you're knitting. They will have questions, and they have a talk you did not expect, but that might bring you new connections and new friends. It might be harder for those of us with social anxiety, but at the same time, it gives you a very refreshing feeling of belonging to community. And I can't even describe how cool it feels when you're on the train and your eyes meet the eyes of another knitter on the same train, and you look at each other and you smile and you feel like, we know what's cool. We are the cool people now. It's not a grandma's hobby anymore. Another thing about knitting outside is breaking out of the routine. Maybe you're stuck on the sleeve island. Maybe you have a stockinette hell. Maybe you have 15 centimeters of ribbing, one by one. All of this can be super intimidating, and changing an environment can be super helpful at feeling not that much pressure on yourself. But most of all, knitting outside is a real therapeutic experience. Just imagine, you are in a park on your cute little picnic blanket. You can see green grass around you. You can hear the birds sing. The water splashing nearby, and you're slowly moving your needles around, creating a gorgeous fabric that you're gonna wear a little bit time later. Isn't that like knitter's heaven? The only real essentials for knitting in public are needles, yarn, and something to carry all of this in. And before you start, something to carry all of this in does not mean you need to rush and go and buy a cute project bag. I know it's super tempting, believe me. But if you're not an avid knitter yet, maybe you can just take a tote bag. Tote bags are perfect project bags until you decide to invest into a proper project bag. The only real thing to consider when choosing a project bag for yourself is making sure it doesn't have a zipper, because zipper is like number one dangerous thing that can happen to your yarn. If it gets stuck in a zipper, it's dead. It's gonna be splitty, or maybe you will have to cut it down, and that's exactly what you do not want to do while you're knitting outside. I use a very simple drawstring bag from Ekaterina, and it works just fine. It was super cheap and it has a few pockets inside, so I can always have my knitting notions with me. So I always have like scissors. Other knitting notions you might need heavily depend on the project you're working on and the stage you're at. If you're getting closer to finishing a ball of yarn right now, maybe it would be smart to take another ball of yarn with you so that you don't need to rush home to get it when you're out of yarn. And also, maybe you will have to bring a tapestry needle with you so that you can weave in the ends if you're weaving on the go, or maybe for other types of problems that can happen. The last thing, if you're an anxious knitter, just like I am, you would like to make sure that you have some kind of needle stoppers to bring with you. I use the simple silicone ones that you put on the ends of your needles so that the stitches don't slide off. But honestly, if you go on YouTube and look for what you can use instead of needle stoppers, you will have like 20 million different suggestions on how to use simple things you have in your house to stop this problem from happening. Usually stitches don't fly off the needles that easily, but especially if you are a tight knitter, it's better to be overcautious than to suffer the consequences of drop stitches. You might also benefit from some kind of an app that allows you to count your rows without being stressed, or maybe store your pattern. I'm using my row counter app, and it's super helpful because you can upload a PDF or even just connect your Ravelry account to it, and then you have a full synchronization between PDF and what you're doing. You have multiple counters there, and you can even highlight the row that you're working on right now. It's super helpful when you're knitting far away from a computer, or maybe you don't want to print out the pattern. Now that we know what we need to take with us, let me tell you a few ideas on places where you want to go. I'm gonna tell you about 3 of my favorite places to knit outside, and I hope it's gonna bring you some inspiration for your future outside adventures. Cafes are the most basic place for the outside knitting lovers, but it doesn't make it any less of a good option. The pros of cafe knitting are obvious. You have direct access to food and water closet, which makes you feel cozy and as if you didn't actually leave your home, which makes it much more comfortable experience, especially if you are usually stressed out about knitting somewhere. The white noise of people who are eating, drinking, and having chats can be very therapeutic and help you concentrate on your knitting. And also it gives this ambience that allows your creativity to really flow. I generally prefer to knit in cafes that have some kind of communal table where multiple people can sit at, or maybe they're not that busy, because I really don't want to be a nuisance to the staff and other customers. But you do you. The only downside of cafe knitting is obviously it can be pricey. I usually order something every hour and a half, and when I check my bank account after a week of knitting outside, my wallet is crying. If you live in a big city, you might want to look for cafes that charge you for the time spent there and not for the products you buy, because in the long run it can be much cheaper than paying for rich objects. Library knitting is a super cozy activity, but has a huge disclaimer that comes with it. Not all libraries allow you to spread noise, so if you have, for example, metal needles, the clanking of them can be very disruptful for other visitors of the library. Make sure you're not a nuisance and check the laws about being in your local library before committing to knit there. Also, a lot of libraries prohibit bringing snacks inside, so you might want to grab a bite before going there. Luckily, in Oliver you can bring anything to the library and you don't have to stay silent there. So it's such a cool communal spot for everybody. I meet a lot of people I know there because it is literally an activity for all of the citizens to just like come there and spend time all together. And this is super, super hyggligt. In my personal list of places to knit, nothing beats the knitting in the nature. It can be a bench in your favorite park, it can be a beach towel on the seashore, it can be a picnic table near the lake, for example. Maybe it's even a folding chair on a mountain hike. And all of these options actually make your knitting experience more of a self-care experience. But there are some things to remember when you're going on the nature knitting session. First, and probably the most important, you need to remember to bring enough water. Hydration is super important when doing any kind of an activity outside. And even though knitting is not exactly a sport, it still requires you to spend quite a lot of power and probably you sweat. And even just moving your hands around makes you lose water balance. So you definitely would like to replenish your water levels as you go. Second of all, depending on the location and duration of your knitting session, you might want to think about bringing snacks with you, because nothing is more annoying than getting hungry in the middle of nowhere where there are no shops or cafes around you and just either suffering through it or running away and stopping to eat just because you're hungry. Lastly, always do everything to protect yourself from the sun. SPF, wear a hat, sunglasses, and even clothes with good anti-UV layers and fabrics. Sun is no joke, and you're gonna thank me later. And remember, knitting in the nature is supposed to be a pleasant experience and not a challenge. Knitting in public can for sure be challenging sometimes, but it also creates this very nice way for you to break out of your routine and have some great social connections. And you never know what's gonna happen around you and motivate your creative flow in a way, or maybe inspire you. Maybe you will see a fallen leaf and will become obsessed with knitting a sweater in this color. Or maybe you see someone walking in a very cute dress and you decide to recreate this dress in knitting. Who knows? But if you don't try, you will never know, and that's what matters. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again. Have a good day, my knitting friends and buddies!